Hello, everyone. This is Lord Josh, and I've decided to do a civilization review, primarily of Western civilization. Um, I think we're probably the best to do a civilization review because we probably did get isekai'd here, and came from like a true magical world. Um, so we've decided to do a review on Western civilization and what it all entails. Now that we've gotten a pretty good grasp of what exactly Western civilization is and history and how it operates and stuff like that. This is coming from a being who didn't really know at all what's going on, so didn't quite care. But this is just our thoughts on what exactly it is and stuff like that. From what we've gathered and understand is that magic plays a huge role to its peoples and to how it operates. And you'll actually notice that different civilizations sort of do the same things nowadays. And for these people who live here, magic is more akin to mind control or playing mind games. And this has basically resulted in a type of competitive spirit within particularly the Western people. And you would actually notice that there's two different ways of thinking regarding life and stuff. See, the East is more particularly big on this whole idea of fate and how you really can't control your destiny. And they're very big on this idea of predestined futures or predestiny, while the West is more you're in control of your fate, you're in control of your existence, which leads to a bunch of issues because the East is a lot more schizophrenic as a result. So they've really gotten big onto the idea of karma, which is an issue all of itself because you now have basically judges, karma judges as we like to call them, that hand out karma in secret. And these people have basically, I guess, gone up the ladder or risen up the ladder to give out karma. Basically, judging from the moment you're born until you die, there will be these judges, so to speak. And it creates a sort of manifest destiny where these individuals will judge you and sort of bring about your destiny. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain in words. And then in the West, there's this idea of mind control where you can influence an individual's destiny if you get enough people to think about something. So we've noticed that the West, or Western peoples in particular, are very good at trying to control perception. And this is what they see as magic, where if enough people believe something, it becomes true. So this has basically created a very competitive culture, so to speak, where a lot of pettiness and arrogance has been created. And for people that are trying to dominate and become like the most powerful, this is probably the best way of going about things, to be honest. But it also results in a lot of copiness, what we've noticed. For most of our life here, we've largely never really cared about, honestly, anything. We would try to understand, like, what pushes people to do this or do that. And now that we've gotten a better grasp, we can see that a lot of it is just to compete over their fellow being and sort of take revenge, in a sense, to what has happened to them. So for individuals that really, played by the rules, did everything as they're supposed to do, they get sort of positions where they can do the same thing, where they can start doing mind control, or they can start influencing, or they can start giving out karma, similar in regards to the East, but like not as schizophrenic as the Easterners are. You eventually come to realize that like a lot of the things that happen in the Western world are largely fake or fraudulent. Much of it is designed to appear this way, and that's just how civilization or culture has been crafted for Westerners. That for them, magic is mind control. So as someone who's like pretty much almost certain at this point gotten isekai, and probably did come from like an actual magical world, with like spells and laser beams and stuff like that. We honestly didn't really care for all this whole mind control or perception thing. So, because like a good number or a vast majority of people on the earth are kind of retarded. So like this leaves a small group of people in every realm to basically be the leaders. And their primary goal is to hold on to power by using perception and mind control to craft like boxes of sorts. Because in all honesty, like retarded people can't do much. We've just recently started getting into the whole concept of mind control and perception. And this has caused a lot of problems for realms where like even your lowest people are still smarter than the vast majority of people. So like a lot of conflicts have started where like this whole class warfare and stuff like that, just because it's like even your lowest peoples are still going to be as intelligent as your highest people or the people in power. So this obviously creates a lot of conflict. See, it's not the same for realms where like you have a bunch of like retards, and then you have a small group of people who are on the same level as those where realms are much more intelligent, because it is all just mind warfare, your ability to influence and create perception or control perception largely dictates how much power you have in those realms. So like in places in the history, like Rome, the citizens were very vicious, and this is largely a result of the people being very intelligent. So there would be a lot of competitiveness where people would be going after each other's throat and trying to outdo each other. Where the most cunning would be the one that basically is the most powerful. And that's what you come to realize in Western civilization, is that it's usually the most cunning who is the most powerful, because they've been able to maneuver themselves to be above a fellow individual who probably is the same intellectually wise as themselves. Of course, cunning is inferior to luck, and luck is actually the most powerful ability, or whatever you want to call it, that you can have. Just because, what can you do when someone's just super lucky, right? It's you can be as cunning as you want, but if someone's just lucky, then they're just lucky, right? So we only just came recently to realize that how competitive some races and some peoples are, particularly the Caucasian or the Yakubian. And this is why they've basically been able to dominate so much throughout history, is what we've noticed. We've never really been quite competitive as an individual. We've, again, never really cared, to be honest. We've, I think our luck stats are just maxed out. So it's what are you gonna do, right? So we've basically been attacked on the mind or the mental area the most. And we've actually noticed that a lot of Eastern concepts have been co-opted just because of how petty and how much coping has been done. Because a lot of people see us as a challenge, even though we're not competing against you. We're not in the same race as you, nor are we competing against our own so-called peoples, because we're a completely different race. We're a chimeric race. For us, it's not competition or challenge. For us, it is survival and ensuring that our race exists. So it's a completely different thing. We're not quite ready to compete with any of the races on the earth yet. That comes much later, when our race has a good ground to stand on. We've only just appeared, really. I mean, we've always existed, we don't doubt that. You'll see it carved on ancient temple walls, the creation of the chimera. You'll see the chimera's existence and where it has been. But these are very rare, it truly is a shiny among shinies. And I think it's similar in regards to when the albinos started appearing. Of course, albinos have always existed for who knows how long, but an albino race didn't appear until much later, when who knows how it really went down, but there was a project or a grafting project where, hey, we want to create an albino race. We want it to exist on the earth. So I think we're at this stage where we are almost there, and we want to now create a chimeric race to be the next race on the earth. So yeah, we look forward to seeing how that basically comes out and comes around. We do think it's going to be very interesting, very awesome to see and watch. I don't really know how I feel about this whole past lives thing. I think it's, again, more of this Eastern predestiny, all that kind of stuff. I'm not really much of a fan of Eastern concepts, I'm gonna be honest. But we are looking forward if we do come back here again, you know. Probably we'll do the exact same thing, you know, not care. Crazy things occur, awesome things occur. People start going mad everywhere. Things get really bad, things get critical. We're just sort of, you know, not caring as usual. But yeah, I think it'd be quite interesting. But as we were saying, right, a good amount of like Western civilization is sort of like fraud or fake, and that's just to control perception. Because there probably is a connection between people's perceptions and controlling reality to a degree. And you know, some individuals can control reality much better than other individuals. I think we're definitely up there, or at the highest. Now, of course, for competitive peoples who are especially petty, they'll never accept this in 1,000 years. Now, you can do anything, right? You can do everything, but they won't really accept it ever. And we've only just recently started to like actually be competitive to a degree, because we're only competitive when we like doing something. Like otherwise we just don't care, you know. It's like, why do you try to do anything, you know? But like if we actually have fun doing something, then it's different. So a lot of these peoples have been competitive against us, and we could never really figure out why. It's like, why are you so competitive towards us? We don't really care to try. And I think it's largely because like these days it's like half-breeds are kind of becoming like a big thing, or hybrids, or whatever you want to call them. So everyone like wants to create these like white hybrids. So like a lot of peoples are seeking validation from the Yakubian, and they really want to get the Yakubians' approval. But like, I don't know, maybe it's just because we have two of our heads who are Yakubians that like we can't figure this out why particularly. Which is why we were basically pondering this whole Jesus thing, the whole Jesus mystery. And we were thinking like, you know, from what we know about the Yakubian and how prideful and competitive the Yakubian is, Jesus probably was white in all honesty. You know, it's like they certainly are never going to accept a very brown individual as their savior, right? They're never going to accept a black person as their savior. So like, who would they accept as their savior, right? Well, for the Yakubians, it would probably be like someone who's white, right? Someone who's R1B is what, you know, they're basically hoping that when Jesus comes back, Jesus would be of the R1B haplogroup, would look white, and would be very populous. Of course, like, not a slave, but like at the level where they're at a slave level, but like not a slave, you know? This is what the white Yakubians have been hoping for Jesus' return to be. Which I think is really funny, right? It's because like they've kind of pushed themselves into a corner. It's like now they're screwed, right? So like they're really thinking about returning to paganism or like some form of paganism light. But like they've also gotten into a corner there because like all the myths and stuff and legends have, like fantastical aspects to them. And like these days it's like it's sort of been phased out of being a god man or a god, right? So many thinkers have come to the conclusion that it's impossible for a god to manifest onto the earth. And like, if it is talking about a god that exists, it's an amalgamation or whatever the word, like a collective of many similar individuals who all together can be that archetype or that god. Which, is like, it's whatever, right? Things are quite bad in all areas, which led to some people's all just hoping that atheism or some type of atheism is true. Which, when you look at, when you exist on the earth, and you know how much, the spirit is real. The spirit realm or the warp or whatever you want to call it is 100% real. Now, of course, there will be these atheists who just won't accept it. Like, they'll know on a personal level it's true. But I think somewhere in their minds, they think, like, if we get enough people to reject the idea of a spirit realm or a warp, then it just would cease to exist. Which, is very boring, I won't probably come back here if there's no spirit realm. But yeah, anyway, overall, we give the whole Western civilization probably a 4 out of 5. It's quite impressive. We do like the whole, magical aspects of it, magical thinking. This is coming from a being that was almost certainly isekai from like an actual magical realm. So we basically decided that, it's like, why not? Why not just be competitive, right? So we've decided to compete in a different form. Of course, if it's not fun, then like we just won't care, But yeah, until next time, hopefully we can get some more Pokemon cards. And I can do some more unboxings, so that'd be quite fun.